Hello, so in this video I'm going to look at something I call sample surfing. And it's something I've noticed is really easy to do with the new Push, combination with the new Simpler and Live 9. So what I have here is just a basic live set with a MIDI track, 2 audio tracks. On the MIDI track, what I'm going to do is I'm going to load in a sample using Browse here. And when I do that, it's going to load that sample into a Simpler. So I'm going to go to my samples selection, go to ambient and real, and I have some recordings of Berlin. I think I got them from freesound.org if I remember correctly. Lots of interesting sounds there, which people give you free use of in terms of royalty and so on. So do check it out. Now what we have here is a Simpler with the sample in it. So far, so normal. What of course we can do is change the start point of the sample. What's interesting, I find, is to turn repeat on to give a certain kind of rhythm to what you're doing. And what I think you could do with this is move around and then record that to an audio track and see what you get. I'm going to turn on loop to turn it into a sort of instrument later on. For now, obviously the sample's way too big to loop. But, okay, so I mean that's the principle of moving the start point around. What I've found is really interesting to do is to then find ways to record that or automate it. A quick way would be just to add an LFO, which if you have Max for Live or Suite, you'll be able to do. If you don't, you could also just achieve a very similar effect with macro. Just group the Simpler into macro and then record some changes on the macros connected to the things I'm going to show you here. So here is an LFO. Load that up. I will just briefly need to go to my screen to link the LFO with the map button here to the start point of the Simpler, sorry. Also, a nice little tip, you can open up Simpler so you can see it in more detail. So what you can see now is that it's jumping around position in the... And what I can do now is move the global start of the sample. And I can also go to the LFO, perhaps change the depth so it moves around a little bit less. And I think put the, where is it, offset to 0, so it starts at the beginning of the sample. Now, so far it's sounding still kind of strange. Of course, depends on where you are in the sample. Changing the length of the sample now to make it short. If you make it too short, it'll just turn into a kind of glitchy thing. That might be something you want. So there we've already got something kind of rhythmic going on as it sort of hunts around in these different parts of the sound. I can also zoom in, see what we're doing here. Pretty techno, I would say, I would dare say. You could also, of course, just zoom out and go and find something completely different. So here I've got a little snippet of the little bell, the little chime that plays when you enter the U-Bahn. I wonder who made that. Maybe somebody can tell us in the comments. an interesting sound. I've turned repeat off. What I'm going to do is go into simpler, go to the envelopes, and go to the volume envelope and make it a longer note with release. Put the attack up a bit so it's not so glitchy. Now, what I've also found interesting is to add some effects after the simpler. So you could, for example, go to audio effects, go to audio effect racks where there's a few different things already set up by Ableton. In performance, there's some interesting ones, for example, frozen smear. If I load that and then select it here, you won't hear any difference straight away, but as I turn up some of these parameters, you'll hear it start to sort of make a soup of sounds. Turn up the volume of the track a bit. And now we can go back to simpler and check in with that. You can see it's still moving around. And again, look for something else, a different sound. So some pretty sci-fi sounds there. A lot of space, obviously thanks to the effect there, the frozen smear. But that's the basic idea of sample surfing. Of you could use the LFO, like I said earlier. You could also use macro knobs connected to the position of the sample, or just do it manually and record it into an audio track. And I think there you can already find a lot of interesting textures, happy accidents, and so on. So it's goodbye from me and goodbye from Berlin. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I'm going to make some more videos, so do subscribe if you want to see those. Also looking at creative ways you can use the new Push and the new features in Live 9.5, as well as some practical things. Thanks. Take care.